What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Thursday, October 21st, 2021. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Truly appreciate you for being here with me. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well coming off that full moon energy in Aries. I do also want to promote that I offer readings and consultations. So if anybody is interested in getting to know my perspective on their astrology and where that evolution's going in such a evolutionary time, link is in description below. I'd be happy to work with you. All right, we got that moon in Taurus today. It's going to be with Uranus. It's going to square Saturn. There's a lot of unpredictability. We also have Mars starting to, by this evening, square off with Pluto. It's intense to say the least, but let's see where this goes and where we can take this astrology today. Sun's also going to be at 28 degrees. It's a manifestation degree. I think we're manifesting a whole new sort of direction in life coming off that Aries new moon. We're also seeing the moon with Uranus and quincunx Mercury retrograde today, and it's also going to start off with a square to Saturn. So it just seems like where we're trying to manifest these relationships and this beauty outside of self, we have to come back to our own capacity to create. We have to be willing to take on the responsibilities that are showing up in our life for this direction that we're going in. And as we're seeing Mars square Pluto, wow, talk about desires. I mean, this is deep, impulsive, evolutionary desires mixed with ego desires, looking at each other very squarely in the eye, if you will, with this square. So I think on a positive note, we can have a lot of energy to use our passion to make things happen, but we can also be seeing where the universe is showing us where that's no longer a thing, and there could be roadblocks up, and we can get kind of obsessive over a certain direction. And as long as we're sort of in a flow, as long as we're using our passion for balance and compromise, I think that we also have to compromise with ourselves and people in our life on a day like this. Like, yes, let's go to the long term. Let's look into the future. Let's look at what we can get done with the time that we have and in this present moment. And even with Pluto here in Capricorn, it's kind of redefining our time space, if you will. Capricorn, Saturn, time space. We're having that redefined, and now we're having a good look at where our ego is adapting to that and how we can sort of build in a direction and take responsibility for a new direction or create in a direction. So I think that today is definitely intense energy, where we're seeing soul desires meet ego desires, and how do we find balance between the two? How do we be accepting of transformation and go into that without, having it just take us out? There's definitely energy here that could be getting the ball rolling for many things in our life, evolutionary wise, just on a personal level. We can see a lot starting to come together. We can see a lot about relationships coming together, or just, the balancing aspect of our life. And then how we can create it. And then by the end of the day, actually like kind of mid-afternoon, we're going to see Moon Uranus together. And it's just like emotions can be all over the place. Like there's a lot going on, especially in terms of the aspects that ground us or make us feel comfortable. It's like it's not the most comfortable day. Moon square Saturn, Moon Uranus with Mars square Pluto. Like we kind of have to embrace the uncomfortability, if that even makes sense, of trying to take our lives higher into the most authentic form of our own value systems here, while doing it through connecting, while doing it through relating, while compromising, while finding balance and beauty. Maybe slowing down a little bit in a day where it feels like everything has to be taken care of right here, right now. But then what are we doing with time and space? Like maybe we need to kind of get out of this perception even of what has to be done right now. Like maybe we're feeling pressed that like a lot of things have to take place because we have this desire and this passion for it. Well, what about divine time? What about the bigger picture? And maybe sometimes we get caught up in the smaller physical aspects of life, when maybe it's about slowing down in a unique way today to see if your passions are lining up. I think we're starting to see in the world where power is going to try and force its hand. We're going to see a lot of, I'll be honest, this is definitely going to bring up more stuff with in the arm. This is activating that, where we saw Mars in Aries last year retrograde square Pluto 3 times, and that was the beginning of this whole experiment. So now we're going to see the next leg of that experiment and where that's going on a collective level. It's I mean, that's low-hanging fruit at this point, but it's in the astrology, so I'm gonna talk about it with you. And we're finishing up, and we do have the sun in this via combusta, this fiery path. So I think we can all feel like we're on this sort of very fiery, sort of unknown path. It can be very intense. It can feel like we're kind of, walking on hot coals in our life right now, and it can be uncomfortable. But we got to sort of, use whatever's bringing us any uncomfortable feelings or emotions, and figure out why. And I think Mars square Pluto is getting us down to the bottom of the whys, and we have to be open to what that answer might be in our life, while still knowing a direction for ourselves, while still having courage and power to keep progressing forward, but also, taking a step back and kind of slowing down and, figuring out where we really do want to build. What is the greatest value in our life right now? And is it really connecting? Are all things connecting? Are they flowing or not? It's just worth it to have that. We're also going to see the moon quincunx Venus. We're seeing Venus here at the midway point of Sagittarius. So I think when it comes to our feel-good energy and relationships, we're definitely, want to expand, and we want to be able to see over the horizon and go experience the knowledge and all the bigger aspects that can come into our life. But it's also quincunx Uranus and the moon today, and it's just kind of this odd, unconventional way of looking at maybe where the expanse can go, what the beauty can be, what the relationships can be. Well, I think we have to experience, and we have to be willing to go into maybe some darker places. Maybe we're starting to see some of this darkness on this, almost eve of Scorpio season kind of start to creep in. The lights, it's getting darker and darker every night. And maybe we're starting to see that in our own lives, and having to come face to face with fears so that we can really find what, makes us feel whole with a W, and together not normal ways. So very interesting day. We are seeing the nodes come to 1 degree. So we're at this final degree, and it's going to come to 0. So there's 2 degrees left of this nodal axis. So from here until, early January, we're going to have these nodes finishing in South Node Sag, North Node Gemini, and there's a lot more information to come. I think. And there's a lot more of the belief, and a lot more of it's kind of a cult out there. There's a culty energy in our reality that's going to ramp up as well. But there's your truth, there's your expression of self, expression of your values that is so important right now as we're starting to unravel what the outer world's going through, and how we're going to relate to that, and how we can understand it while keeping this sort of balanced presence of compromise between our outer selves and ourself. And I think we have to, have some, really know our worth, really know our value today. And no matter where things are shifting and turning, to still, have a good sense of love for self, have a good, that is self-confidence in a lot of ways, to be confident in yourself right now as we're relating in different ways and going through this evolution and these different tiers. And taking responsibility is a big point today with the moon square Saturn, and then coming to Uranus. It's like taking different responsibilities that make you feel good, that probably aren't normal, or being open to making changes based on the information. And a lot of it's like North Node at these degrees is like common sense. Common sense is everything. It's like, what really makes sense right here, right now, without like searching, far and wide for some crazy information that's gonna, help give you what you need to get over the hump. Like, this is kind of where, compromise for getting over a hump in life, compromise for the intensity, but still there's a balancing aspect of knowing your worth, knowing your identification of self, and pushing through to get places in life, while also simultaneously balancing that out with knowing when not to push too much. So great Libra energy today about knowing when to push for your desires, when to maybe take your foot off the accelerator and to kind of chill out and ground and do the things that make you feel good, that are trying to show up in different ways and unlock new gifts. And Mars is kind of really finishing up with the trine over to Jupiter. So I mean, I think that there's something about having a positive approach to life right now that can really bring a lot. It can bring a lot of feel good energy, especially with Jupiter and Sagittarius, but it is like connecting to your future and connecting to where people are willing to compromise with you too in life, or aspects in life. Are they willing to compromise with you? If not, don't overcompensate by compromising for both sides and giving up, your own value or sense of self. And we're starting to see Venus start to square over to Neptune, and that's going to be very interesting for financial markets. It's going to be very interesting for relationships in our life. And we're starting to see sort of where that's going. Neptune is also in semi-square to Saturn, which is pretty interesting as that's a 45-degree angle. And we're starting to see more spell stuff, more illusions, about time and space and where society's going and the physical form of everything. That Pluto's on this approach to really rewriting that whole system. So a lot of this energy to me feels like the transformation of being able to keep going while also paying attention to what is showing up. I think there can definitely be a lot of energy, or it can be, for some people, it's just so much energy that it feels like, oh my gosh, like what is going on in my life right now? And that would be a good time to ground yourself and get back to what makes you feel good. I think if you're feeling like energetic and powerful in yourself right now, it's a good time to make sure that you're sharing that with people and giving people encouragement and helping people through a transformation. So definitely a day here. And we're seeing Mars, meet with Spica, the judge of Libra. So we got to identify with that judge within us to do, maybe out of the ordinary things, to evolve and grow and take on new aspects of ourself and take on a higher, character of ourself too, and relate that with the world that we live in. Appreciate you all. I hope that that was helpful. Sending you all my love and best. So definitely deep dive times with Mars square Pluto. I mean, we're going to have to feel some intense things. Could definitely be things showing up outer, when it comes to power with Pluto and governments and relationships and our relationship to the other. Could definitely be seeing where, where we need to even the scales out in our life. Definitely, it's a good look at where I would say the next couple months are going, as Mars is going to, in January, meet with Pluto and Venus again. So we're in this interesting cycle with Mars and Venus, and then this Mars-Pluto cycle is going to get pretty balsamic towards the end of the year, as we really see where these desires that maybe our ego once had are closing out, and how we can evolve and go in a different direction while trying really hard, I think, to manifest beauty and balance into our life. So it's definitely a day to be the judge for yourself. 4 of Swords, upright. Yeah, it's funny. That's usually like the rest, renewal card, take a break. Kind of channeled that energy earlier. It just feels like if things are too much, we do need to get back into our body, back into ourself, ground a little bit. There's not much earth energy minus Pluto, Uranus, and the moon. And everything's kind of going through the ringer. So even in physical aspects, like we could just feel like a little anxious, a little like take a break. And if you need to take a break, it's okay. Come back to yourself, ground. I'm sure that in that moment you would get some of this amazing insight that can come through today about where things are going. I think things can kind of like on the surface look scarier than they are, but once we dig down deeper and get into the whys, we're going to realize that the download comes through, and we just needed to maybe peel back a second and get back into our body and into our mind, and to make a grounded decision for aspects of life today. And then maybe that'll help out. So I appreciate you. I love you all very much. I will see you for Friday's horoscope tomorrow. Peace.